So this past week, I caught up on a few things after coming back from my trip. There's a few things from last weekend I didn't get to see that I watched this week. One of them was Ready or Not 2, but in preparation for that, I rewatched Ready or Not, because the only time I'd seen it was in theaters with Mason back in 2019, which, what a fucking awesome year for movies.
Oh, yeah.
It was just amidst a lineup that, maybe in another year, this would have been close to my top 10, or like in my honorable mentions,
Ready or
maybe.
Not?
But yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love this movie.
But just with 2019, that was such a, just everything was working that year. Mm-hmm. That movie was such a surprise. I remember going into it being like, this could be okay, and then being like, wow, that was really fun. Like, this is a great movie. And it comes from Matt Bettinelli, Olpin, and Tyler Gillette, also known as Radio Silence, who've been putting out great movies for the past few years with Scream 5 and 6, Abigail, and then obviously the Ready or Not movies.
And this was like their first venture as a team, I feel like, that I at least remember.
Yeah, they had a few, I think like some VHS movies they directed.
Yeah, they might have worked on some of the anthology
and then,
ones, yeah.
like Southbound, I think, was sort of an anthology type thing, which I haven't seen. But the thing that I love most about Ready or Not is how efficient it is, where it's a concept of Samara Weaving gets married to this guy, and she's at his family's estate, and basically after they get married, they're like, all right, you have to play this game, and if you pull the card that's hide and seek, then we're all going to try and kill you.
Yeah.
That's the concept. And they give a little bit of backstory, a little bit of lore for like the family, and like the kind of, the family's like a devil worshipping family and all this stuff, but you don't, like, they don't dig into it too much. They give you enough where it's like, we're just a weird, fucked up family. You need to survive. And that's it. And the movie gets into it really quickly. Samara Weaving is great in that movie. That's one of the first big things I remember seeing her in and being like, oh, she's really good. She's not just the Margot Robbie lookalike that everybody says. The supporting cast is great. Adam Brody's really fun. He's not, like, fully committed to the family. He's kind of like, I'm going to have a drink while you guys are, like, hunting her.
Yeah. He's, like, embarrassed to be a part of this. He's embarrassed to be associated with it, and he doesn't believe it to the degree that the rest of the family, so he's just like, God damn it, like, I'm sorry about my family.
He sees her in a room, and he's like, I'll give you a 10-second head start. Like, I'm not going to call out right now, but whatever. And then you have, like, Henry Cerny, Andy McDowell. Just a really fun supporting cast to fill it out. Some really fun kills. Just a brief, quick movie that's really entertaining. It was a big surprise. So, when they announced that they were making a sequel, I was like, I don't know. The ending shot of that original movie is so kind of iconic to me in a weird way. But this second movie, Ready or Not, I don't know what it's called really, but in the movie, it's Ready or Not, Here I Come.
No 2.
Yeah, No 2. But then on like IMDb, it says Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, which is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Just Ready or Not, Here I Come. It's between that and Now You See Me, Now You Don't. We've had a few of these little kitschy titles.
Like, the marketing team's like, guys, I did it. I did it. It's like James Cameron putting the S on Alien. Like, this is it. That's how they feel. They're like, I did it.
Like, you guys are not going to believe this.
You guys wait until you hear what I did.
So Ready or Not 2 takes place right after the events in the first movie picks up, as she's sitting on those steps smoking a cigarette after the family blows up in that first movie. Spoiler alert, sorry. But this movie, I was hoping for just like a fun time. I didn't expect it to kind of have that same magic, and it doesn't.
Or the charm, really, yeah.
Yeah, just because like that shock value of the first one is always going to kind of be up there for me. And this movie does what a lot of sequels do, and it makes it a lot bigger. It dives into the lore. It adds more characters. It does everything that it... Typical sequel stuff. And I think it's very okay. I was actually kind of disappointed by it a little bit. Mm-hmm. I guess it just... My main problem is that it tries to build up the lore and mythology of... Like, in the first movie, it was just one family, but then in the second one, we learn it's this council of families. Very reminiscent of the John Wick franchise, which I think a lot of people have made that comparison, but that's a part of the reason why the first John Wick will always be my favorite, because it was just simple, it gave you enough information, but then in the previous movies, it's like, well, there's these council members, there's these rules, and then if you do this, then you do this, and then these people are actually involved here. And you're like, fuck, this is
Pigeons
a lot.
are a big reason in John Wick 2.
It's like you have to pull this card, do a sword fight, and then do this thing at the Eiffel Tower, and then do a gunfight with a musket, and then be in the desert, then that doesn't really matter. Anyways, it's sort of a similar thing here, where just there's families, and they're trying to vie for this high seat at the council now that the family from the first movie died. And it just, I don't know, it kind of bogged it down for me, and... How the first movie was so efficient, this one took a long time to get into like the actual hunting and killing of people. And even like the kills and the like hunting of Samara Weaving and her sister comes in this movie played by Catherine Newton. it wasn't as fun to me. Like, it just wasn't as enjoyable. I don't know. I just... The kills are more memorable in the first movie. I don't really remember much from this new one.
No. The only one I somewhat remember is the previous fiance of Alex that comes in, and she's wearing a wedding dress, and she's like, you took who should have been my husband.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is the only dynamic in this film where I was like, I like this part. And that's really it. Because I went in with, like, some little expectations just because I really love that first one. And similar to you, it's charming. It is almost iconic to me now. And I knew right away that I probably wasn't going to like this movie when they play off of that ending sequence, which is now iconic to me as well. From that first movie of her sitting on the stoop smoking a cigarette, you get the police siren lights and the house is burning behind her. And then that's how this movie opens, but you can feel like the CGI overtake. You can feel like the background of having that actor transposed and in a similar-ish setting to try and capture and just carry on the remainder, like, back half of that scene and getting her into an ambulance and all that shit. And I was just, as soon as it snapped into that, I was like, I feel like it's not it. I feel like this isn't going to be it for me. And I think, similar to what you said, it's just less efficient in how it sets up the story, but everything it's setting up is repetitive and done better and previously in the first film that came out 6 years ago. So I'm like, what made you guys think you needed to make this movie 7 years past that first film? Like, why is this coming out now? Like, I do like the addition of Kathryn Newton in concept, but the characters between Samara and Kathryn Newton, their budding sisters and their issues with each other boils down to the same argument that they have 4 to 5 times throughout the entire runtime, as to, like, them doing a will they won't they get along this entire movie, just because Kathryn Newton is, 3 years younger maybe than Samara Weaving's character, and she's like, you abandoned me, you left me in foster care. She's like, I turned 18, I went to college. And she's like, you left me. She's like, you're not my responsibility. Like, I'm 18. Why would I be tasked with raising a 15-year-old kid sister? Like, that's not my thing. Like, I don't need to be taking care of you the rest of your life. Like, and I wasn't abandoning you. I was going to come back for you, but I'm 18. I need to figure shit out first before I can circle back and help you, because I need to help myself. They have that argument and usually, like, kind of resolve the argument, but then just reopen it, like, 5 minutes later. And I'm like, didn't we just shut the fucking book on this argument?
Yes.
Like, how are we still mad about this right now? So, like, I don't know. This movie is a mixed bag to me. I didn't hate watching it. I will say the guy sitting next to me, and I've had similar viewing experiences of a guy ordered every single, like, oven-made food at the movie theater. Like, pretzel bites, 2 hot dogs, like, maybe a pizza, tenders, nachos. And this dude is scarfing down, and, like, the air is just fighting through the seams of the food in his throat. And he is burping, and I can smell Carnival hot dogs. And I'm just like, this is going to make me throw up. Not only that, I have this couple next to me that, again, maybe like a 50-year-old couple, and the woman in this couple is talking the entire time. Oh, no. Oh, don't do that. Oh, you're so stupid. Oh, she's so dumb. Oh, he's so ugly. And I turned to her, 10 minutes left in this movie, just now fed up, and I'm like, please, just be quiet. And she was so offended that they got up and left. 10 to 5 minutes left. They left after I said that to her. I was like, what is going on? So I'm trying to separate that viewing experience, which was not great, from this movie that I also don't think is that good. I think the premise and it just doing the sequel shit of just bigger. Let's expand out. And kind of what you brought up with the John Wick films. I like the first John Wick film the best. When you get to John Wick 2 and they introduce all the inner workings of the Continental, I'm like, you're kind of losing me here a little bit. Oh, now Lawrence Fishburne works with the pigeon people. All right, I don't like this that much. But it is just repetitive of better ideas that were set out in that first film. I liked the characters more in that first film too. Like the shitty brother-in-law that's not good at this, and he's just like, how to use a crossbow, sitting in the bathroom. And then like the druggy daughter that's just like snorting cocaine and fucking things up every time. I'm like, there's so much good humor in that one that doesn't carry over into this film. And also, like, the idea of Elijah Wood being in here, I liked him as like the grand game master. I thought that was the best addition to this. But like Sarah Michelle Gellar, I'm like, you don't really like, anyone could have been you. Like, you being in this film doesn't really bring much aside from like, oh, it's Buffy, guys, look at her, it's Daphne, like, yay. Like, it didn't work that well. And I think, honestly, a lot of the performances, I think Samara Weaving's performance in this film isn't as good as in the first one. I think it's just a little, like, it just feels tired to me. I do think, back to the first one and how great that film is, there's a scream that she has in that movie as she finally gets up out of a chair and has a gun pointed at the family, and it like reverberates in the theater and it like echoes. That is the best film scream ever. I stand by it. It is the best, and they almost kind of dialed back in this movie. I'm like, nope, don't touch it. It is perfect in that first movie. And I love the simplicity of that first one about not over-explaining it. Now we get everything over-explained, and also just like a lot of rules thrown in like the latter moments of like, oh, well, if you marry him, they won't kill you. If you do this, then you're fine. Here's this little kind of loophole. It's just like, this is so poorly written. It was just kind of a bunt. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah, I think the whole movie is not well written at all. Just from the dialogue of the sisters, like you mentioned, it's just so repetitive and like, you left me, and it's like, okay, we like you said, we've done this before.
We've established this.
We've done this. And really, like, the first act is kind of setting up all this lore and building up these families. The middle act is kind of the hunt and the kills and all that. The last act of the movie just drags for me.
Yeah.
Like, it gets to the part where it's like, well, you could actually marry this person. Then we go through this whole like ritual, this Satan ceremony. I'm like, I don't mind how the movie wraps up, I guess, but just like all that I didn't care about. As far as like Sarah Michelle Gellar and Sean Hatosy, their brother and sister, I thought they were the best of the kind of supporting cast. They had the most to them, I guess. Everybody else, like Nestor Carbonell and like Kevin Durant's very underused in the movie.
Oh yeah.
But like a lot of other people, like there's characters and then there's like kids of characters that have to sub in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't care about any of you really.
I will say the only aspect to like the world building that they establish of like while they're going through the hunt, it's the first person in that family's bloodline that gets the right to go hunt. But then once they die on the field, if they die, then the next person in the bloodline has to fill in. I did like that aspect of like the guy that was now called to go serve because his dad or whatever died before him, and he's just like, I don't want to do this. Like, can someone else, like, I'm married. Can my wife go? You can have all of our belongings. You're in charge. Go out there. And I liked that aspect, and that was the only thing in the story building or, like, the branching out where I was like, oh, this is kind of funny. Like, we're doing something fun here. Like, interesting. That's it. I do, like, Sarah wasn't the best for me. Like, it's cool to see her in this, but she doesn't do much. I do like her brother, Sean Hatosy or whatever his name is. I liked his portrayal because I'm like, you're fucked up. Like, you are bad. Like, everyone in that first film has, like, this air of likability. Even Andie MacDowell, like, she's, like, a cold-hard bitch in that first movie, but she is, like, still, I'm like, you have, like, this charm to you. Where Sean Hatosy in this, he is just a fucked up maniac. Like, this man is scary. So I kind of liked having, like, you are, like, the ultimate villain, really, to this two-part saga now. But I also really enjoyed the little snippet of David Cronenberg. Again, it's not really like anyone could have done that, but it's that you brought David Cronenberg into this franchise. Oh, it's kind of cool. And then he gets snuffed out by his kids with a pillow. It's like, oh, all right, you're gone. Same with Kevin Durant. What you've seen of him in the trailers, that's his entire performance in this movie before he blows up. And then all the jokes just feel recycled. When people start popping into blood little water balloons and just ejaculating blood onto everyone. Like, there was one line where Catherine Newton, like, it happens to her again, where someone blows up in front of her face and she's got blood all over her, and Samara Weaving's like, what? She's like, I'm just not used to people combusting all over me. And I was just like, okay, that's like a fine line. But that's it. Like, even the best aspects of the movie, I'm like, it's fine. So it's just, if that's the ceiling, the movie's not that good.
Yeah. A lot of the humor didn't work for me in the movie. One line that is very random and, like, I don't know that anyone else laughed at it, but there's a, like, fat Asian kid that's on his iPad, and he's just, like, one of the descendants of these people, and he's, like, waiting in line to, like, go out there. And they're all, like, having this conversation about, like, they're like, oh, hail Satan, all this stuff. And they're, like, mid-conversation, he's in the background just, fuck yeah! on his iPad, and he's like, oh, sorry, hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
It goes back to his iPad, I'm like, that's funny.
That's fine.
I don't know. I also had not a bad theater experience, but just a funny thing in the lead up to the movie in the trailers. There's at the Imagine theaters they have this Rolex ad with Zendaya, and
so odd.
Which, like, they have that for James Cameron too,
and they have I think a Leo one too,
where it's just like they're showing their film career, and then it's just like also Rolex, but
yeah,
whatever. In like the in the voiceover for Zendaya's thing, there's a part where she's like, yeah, like I grew up in this industry, I've had a lot of experience here, and she's like, I really just want to she's like, I really wanted to like suffocate people with my art, and somebody was like, I wish you would. She was like, I want to suffocate you, and they're like, yeah, wish you would. That kind of made my day. Just some dude. Sorry. I really enjoyed that. That was probably the highlight of my Ready or Not 2 theater experience. As Mason's trying not to spit on his fucking water. Swallow it, bud. Yeah, swallow.
Honestly, you go high five that guy. Oh my god.
Yeah, I should have found him.
This is completely separate to watching Ready or Not 2. Allie and I took my dog for a walk yesterday just because it's starting to get nice out in Minnesota. We can wear short sleeves and shorts finally. And we're walking, and I'm like, that guy's wearing like this blue and orange jersey. I'm like, he lines up behind me and Allie as we're walking, and Allie walks pretty slow because she's like 5'2". So I'm like, oh, here, let's get out of this guy's way. And he's crossing me. I'm like, is that a Blue Mountain State jersey from the show Blue Mountain State? And he's like, fuck yeah, it is, brother. And he just gave me nucks, and he was like, good looking out, like, hell yeah, like, and walks away, and Allie's like, God, how simple it is to be a boy and become friends with other guys. I'm like, he's wearing a Thad Castle jersey from Blue Mountain State. That show's awesome. And just, I love, like, oh, hell yeah. Thanks, brother. Like, it's just perfect interaction. That interaction made my week. It was better than all the movies I watched this week.
Good. No, it is easy, man. Find one thing to relate on. You're like, oh, sports team?
Wear a sports jersey? I'm like, fuck yeah.
100%. So, anyways, Ready or Not 2. Kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
If you like the first movie, I think there is still some enjoyment here. It's not an awful movie, but it definitely is a step down for both of us.
I do think it's radio silences of the films I've seen, their worst.
I would agree, yeah.
What, they did Scream 5 and 6, Ready or Not, Abigail, at least, and Ready or Not, and that's just the way I view them.
I haven't seen their earlier stuff, but yeah, I would agree that this is my least favorite of the things I've seen from them.